Ladies and gentlemen, social awareness speech contest. Contestant number 1, Angela Lansbury, Queen of Recycling. Queen of Recycling, Angela Lansbury. Yeah!
Friends, I recycle all my clothes. Do you recycle all your clothes? Do you need to recycle all your clothes? Well, at least twice a year, my husband has a shirt that has a collar which is going frayed and cuffs which are going frayed, and he puts it in the bin. And I look at it and I get it out. Why do I do this? Because he tells me I have too many clothes. Now, most men think their wives have too many clothes. How many clothes do I have? Well, I have a blog which has 500 outfits. That means more than 500 clothes. It means many of them are tops and bottoms that can be, well, my husband is a statistician. He could tell you it's something like 1,000. Anyway, why should you save all these clothes? Now, it's not just men, ladies too. This was a top of mine, which I looked at and I couldn't wear it. It started off white, it went cream, it was mottled colors. And I looked at it and I looked at the brand and it was true. This is an expensive German brand. And look at these lovely buttons. It's got little sparkly buttons and it's got patterns across the neck. If you went online, you'd have to pay $100 for this. But what did I do? In my cupboard, I have Dylon, which is a dye, and I dyed it blue. Not only that, you can take 2 or 3 different outfits in white or other colors and dye them all the same color and get coordinating outfits. Now, why should you bother with this? For several reasons. 1, it's fun. Number 2, it saves you money. Number 3, you've already got clothes which fit you because you bought them to fit originally. But if they don't fit, I can tell you what to do. And finally, you're doing your bit for the planet. Do you care about the planet? Well, we all care about the planet, but how does it really affect us? Well, it affects us for 2 reasons. Number 1, if you go online and look at videos from other countries, you will see that in African countries, they have piles of brand new wearable clothes which are being chucked out. And there are mountains of them, more than they can wear, more than we can wear. And these are creating clutter on land which could be used for growing crops or providing houses, and they are creating greenhouse gases. Furthermore, they have said, end of taking your rubbish. We don't want it. So what is your government going to do? The British government, the Singapore government, the American government, we've got piles of stuff. We've got containers of stuff people have thrown away and nowhere to send it. It's going out on ships and coming back again. It's a nightmare. So what do the councils and governments do? They say, we're going to charge you twice the amount of money for everything you throw away. Not only that, we're going to stop you throwing it away. We're going to make the containers smaller and limit you to the amount you can throw away every year. This is going to keep happening. Now, there are some people who say, I'm going to reduce waste. I'm going to throw nothing away all year. Wow, how do they do that? Well, you can start with the clothes. Now, what else can I tell you about clothes? You say, well, yeah, but my clothes don't fit me anymore. I've got slim because of COVID. I've dieted and they're all hanging loose on me. It looks, well, doesn't look neat. Very simple. You can seam things down the sides. You can cut the bottom of clothes which are too long and make a matching scarf or a tie belt. And you can make a patch out of something else in the middle and put the cut-off bottom underneath. So you've got 1, 2, 3, a sandwich of colours. And then you can use little bits of extras to make little rosettes or epaulets. Too much work, forget all that. Just sew on 2 ribbons either side, make it bigger or smaller, tie it round, wrap it round, and wear a jacket on top. If you need any advice, I've got a blog all about recycling clothes. It's called Dress of the Day, Angela, and I keep describing how I have recycled my clothes and how you can do the same thing. Now, sometimes you want to buy something new, but you buy it and you don't have anything to go with it. This involves you in simply sorting through your clothes. You have to hang them up, the blacks together, the reds together, and so on and so forth. And in the olden days, what people would do is they would take the winter clothes, that's if you're in a 4 seasons area, put the winter clothes in a suitcase up in the loft, get rid of clutter, then you can sweep around, make the place healthier, clear things off the floor, sit down on your chairs, clear things off the table, use your table again, clear things out of the spare room, have people to come and stay, and your winter clothes are upstairs out of the way. If, on the other hand, the seasons, well, you just don't know what you might need, then there are ways of hanging things up and down. You can buy multiple hangers and you can sew straps to hold things up, or you can buy a device a bit like this. You wrap things round and you fold your clothes neatly into piles so they take up less room. Clear the clutter from your house, clear the clutter from your brain, and go out looking coordinated with a brand new outfit which you haven't worn before, no one has seen it before, and no one else has got the same thing. Now, what can I do with a man's shirt? I can cut off the collar, cut off the cuffs, make it a new outfit, and put on a jacket on top of it. Just go and look at my blog, or write to me, or ask me. It's so easy, and you will have fun and help the planet. Back to you, Contest Chair.
Okay, great job, Angela. This is a much better, improved version. Do you feel much more comfortable now?
I feel I've got my message across more clearly.
Yeah, I think it's not only that, your screen technique has improved. Your dynamism, your enthusiasm, your energy is flowing through the screen and your voice as well. So I like that very much. Okay. I still want to give you some feedback on the emotional content. Because first, the problem definition, if you can.
Yes,
if you
just
can,
right.
I want you to define the problem in a very short sentence, maybe not more than 7, 8 words. I didn't see it clearly defined. I know what your message because I've been listening to you, but for a contest, it got to be very sharply crystallized.
How about cut the clutter in your house and the planet?
Declutter, right? Declutter your mind, declutter your house, that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Declutter is a good topic as well. Declutter is fine. Now that, of course, the problem is there's too much clutter, in other words, right? So you have to define the problem is too much clutter, and the solution you're proposing is to declutter.
Yes.
Okay, so that two things must be very clear in your speech. and you may need to repeat them multiple times in the opening, in the body, and in the conclusion, right? So you can see the way your speech is evolving is about decluttering. Okay, declutter the mind, declutter the physical setting, declutter the mind, and stuff like that, right? Then you ask yourself, what is the big problem when people do not declutter? Was it very clear, right? So you did cover about the people sending their clothes, and then the government ship it to Africa, and now Africa no longer wants it. Then what's next, right? You choke up the landfill or whatever, right? And then there's a no land for crops and houses, and then there are green what do you call that?
Greenhouse gases.
Yes. So I can see all the message, but I felt that we need to be more compressed, more crystallized, more direct. Because basically now you define the problem. We are cluttering with over purchases or underutilizing things, for example. So the problem is I'm not very good at define right now. Maybe later Mike can help, but we need to define in a way that people feel the pain, the suffering caused by this problem, right? At the moment, I do not feel very much pain and sadness or discomfort arising out of this clutter caused by us over purchasing and throwing stuff out of the window or out into the garbage bin. I don't feel the emotion very strongly.
Okay, I've got another line story then. My friend went to clear out his father's house, and he found brand new shirts which his father had never worn, which were stored in the cupboard. They'd cost him money. He was saving them for a special day, which never came. He just didn't even wear the clothes he bought.
Yeah.
And I thought that's so sad. Every house has got things which are unused.
Yeah, I think that will be good. And when you tell the story, you can pause and say, have you checked your wardrobe lately? Do you have this whatever fine clothes waiting to be used one day and never used? For example, then you involve the audience into your speech. Okay. Also, I want a sense of urgency that people will actually go out, right, and do something. In your case, your call for action appear to be, number one, go to my blog on the recycling clothes and then go and declutter your home. I think we want only one single message. So you got to define what is that one single message. What do you want them to do? What action do they want them to do? That one thing you want them to do, not multiple things to consider.
Look at something you have never worn, get it out, and use it.
Yeah, that could be one thing.
If not, you can swap it with someone else. There are swapping parties. I haven't mentioned that.
Yeah, you can focus on that, but I don't want the call for action to be too long, either A or B or C. Try not to do that. Try to do, I want you to do this, do it now, that kind of thing. Don't give that option.
Shop in your own house.
Okay, now I want to have one more feedback for you. When I announce your name, when I introduce you, you jump in and started your speech too early. I want you to start with a pause. I want you to get the audience attention before you start speaking, because after I introduced you, I was applauding, I was giving you the applause. But before I finish, you already started speaking. So you must wait a while. Don't dive straight into it. Look into the camera and demand their attention before you actually start speaking.
Friends, do you have clutter in your house? Do you have clothes you have never worn? Do you sometimes think, what am I going to wear today? Although you have enough clothes to open a shop. Well, it's time to go shopping, not online, in your own home. Go shopping in your own home. I have a spare room. I've got a rummage sale in my own home. There's no charge.
Okay, now I better let Mike share his perspective of how to do it better, because I'm only sharing from my perspective. I think Mike will give you a maybe a better idea. Mike, please.
Thank you, Angela. I think the internet is
Hello,
the time of your speech. Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you were just frozen and I was going to disappear again. Yeah, I think disjointed as what I heard was, what I liked, certainly it is much more fluid than previously than yesterday. And that's important. You know, get the swing going, get the momentum going. Yeah, put your passion into the speech. And don't worry so much. I mean, once you start talking, don't worry about all of the things that you might need to do, could do, will do. Yeah, just go talk. You've prepared this in advance. The preparation should be foremost in your mind. And that's what you want to display to the audience. Yeah, don't at this stage of delivery, don't try and effectively ad lib, say, and then say it. And that way you get the momentum going. I tell people never memorize your whole speech. However, memorize the first one or two sentences as your attention grabber. Yeah, you need to have something really powerful to grab the audience's attention. And I think Bamping was referring to that.
Maybe you could type in the chat box, because
just a moment ago. And then at the
Mike, I can't hear. It's just fading out. Can you type in the chat box?
end,
Can't hear.
sometimes it's difficult
Can't hear
how to
anything.
actually get out of a speech. Yeah, what to say to stop finale, 2 or 3 sentences max on what to say to leave. Yeah, it's really important, because when you get to near there, you then just press autopilot, exit, and you come out with your exit speech.
Okay, I've typed what I thought you said in the chat box. If there's anything I've missed, can you please add it? I can't hear anything.
Angela, I think you focus on the big picture, the big scheme of things that we are sharing with you. Don't get bogged down with all the details. Yeah, I think the big scheme of thing from my end is always, I need a very tight message, right? A very tight definition of the problem. I want the definition to be repeated. I want the message the call for action, exactly what you want done to be repeated. Because if you say it only once at the end, people will unlikely they can remember, right? So tight definition, definitely. Call for action, got to be very tight, very clear. Mike is back. Okay, Angela, I have to leave for another meeting in about 8 o'clock or so. So we need to move a little bit quickly.
Right.
Which piece do you want to do next?
Okay, I'll now do the write your family history, which is storytelling. Or did I make that human? No, it's storytelling.
Hold on, yeah. Let me check the judging criteria.
7 minutes.
Storytelling. Is 7 minutes okay? No? Is it 7 minutes? 8 to 10 minutes, you know? What is the title again?
Write your family history.
Right. Okay, have you gone through the judging criteria? You got to be thoroughly familiar, and then you got to make sure you revolve around the judging criteria.
Yes, the feedback I got previously was that I should add humor because it was too glum.
Okay, are you ready to start?
Yes.
Storytelling speech contest. Contestant number 1, Angela Lansbury. Write your family history. Write your family history. Angela Lansbury. Yay!
Please write your family history. There is a saying that everybody has a book in them. Well, I have 2 books in me. I have the story of my mother-in-law, and I have the story of my next door neighbors. And I'm going to tell you how I did it and how you can do the same. But first of all, why should you do it? You might be thinking, yes, I will do that one day. I'll do that when I retire. And when are you going to retire? When you're 50 and your parents are 70? When you're 60 and your parents are 80? When you're 70 and your parents are 90? And then you're going to try and interview them when they've got Alzheimer's, when they can't be bothered. You might even have people who say, I don't want you to write the family history. My mother told me, I don't want you to write the family history. It's all miserable. I lived through 2 world wars. Who wants to write about all that? When I went into her family history, I've discovered why she was so against my writing it. First of all, her first husband had died in a plane crash in World War II. Secondly, I didn't know, but after she died, I asked my father about the wedding, and he said, I nearly didn't get married. I cancelled the wedding 2 days beforehand. My mother said her husband died in the war and Ural was going to be second best. So I cancelled it. And then I changed my mind. I did really want to get married. So I married your mother and we had a great marriage. We never spent a night apart, except when we were in hospital. We never spent a night apart. Goodness, my husband are apart all the time. We have separate bedrooms in different countries, Singapore and England. Well, you see, what you think is every day normal in your life is not. One day I said to my father, our son won't sit and eat with us. He wants pizza. He's opening the fridge. Did you do that when you were a young teenager? No, said my father. I used to take an apple to school in the summer and a baked potato in winter. It was in my pocket to keep me warm. was always the same, just the one thing. No choice. At the weekend, Granny would go to the market and buy a piece of fish. You either ate it or you didn't. That was it. My goodness, how different life was then. So ask your family about what they did as a child. Now, let me tell you how I wrote this book about my mother-in-law, who is also my mother's cousin. I married a second cousin. That's another story. What happened was my husband said, go and find a present for her. I went up and down. This is for her 90th birthday. I went up and down the high street. I went into wine shops. And I said, what can I buy? And they said, well, obviously, buy a bottle of nice champagne. Oh dear, a very expensive one, or the popular one that most people like, which is cheaper. Well, he said, ring her up. When she tells you, come in and buy it from me. So I rang her up and said, which champagne do you like? She said, I can't take champagne, dear. I'm on pills. So that was the end of that idea. Then I went into a bookshop and I said, what book can I buy my 90-year-old grandmother? She can't see and can't read much. He said, well, there's a family history book. You have to write in the answers. I don't have one in stock, but I can order it for you. I don't know how long it'll take. Do you want it? I said, I'll think about it. I went home, and the following evening we went out for dinner. And I thought, well, I might as well start now. So I said to my mother-in-law, tell me where you were born and where you went to school. Well, I remembered what my mother had said. I don't want you writing my family history. And my husband said, I don't want you writing down during dinner. This is a family dinner, not an inquest. So I memorized it, went out to the toilet, wrote it down on a napkin, got home at night and typed it up. And then the next week, anything I wasn't sure about, I asked her, and I went on to the next thing chronologically. What happened when she was a child, what she did in her first job, what she did with her mother, what happened to her sister. And she told me a lovely story about World War II and her mother. I'd never heard anything about her mother. She said, my mother was a saleswoman. She used to sell dresses in a dress shop. And then the bombs fell, so we moved out to Slough. Well, there was rationing and we couldn't open a dress shop. So we looked at what you could buy and we went back to the East End and they were selling pots and pans. So my mother bought pots and pans. And the first thing she did when she got back to Slough was she went into the butcher's shop next door and she gave them a free set of pots and pans. And then she went to the grocer's over the road and she gave them a set of pots and pans. And all through World War II, when other people had rationing and they couldn't get meat and vegetables and fruit, we had plenty because our friend the butcher next door, he remembered us and he used the pans every day that we'd given him. And he was our great friend and we had plenty to eat. Well, I thought that's a wonderful story. I wrote that up. But if I hadn't asked her, she would never have told me. Now, you've got stories in your family that you could find out about. Now, the other thing I want you to do is I want you to write on the back of every wedding photo the name of all the people. I have a wedding photo from about 1910. It doesn't say the era, I can just tell it from the clothes. And I've tried to work it out. Who was born in which year did they marry? Whose wedding could it be? I still don't know. If they had only written the name of the bride or the name of the year, I would know. I went and gave a talk on this. When I got home, I got out my wedding photo and I hadn't written anything on the back of it. How stupid is that? So I wrote my name, my husband's name, my mother-in-law's name, the date of the wedding, the date everybody was born, their full names, and who was on which side of the picture. Now, I can give you another hint on how to write on the back of the picture, because I work for a photographic agency. You don't write across the middle of the picture with a ballpoint pen, because you'll make indentations across people's faces. You write on the edge of the picture, on that little white frame, or you type up the information and you stick a label on the back so it doesn't damage the photo. Do that with all your photos. Go to the oldest person in your family and ask for all their family photos and write on the back of them. They may say, I can't remember where it was, but it must have been in the 1920s, 1940s, 1980s, 2010, whatever. You write that back. Then you might find a photo that they recognize, but the people in it are wearing the same clothes as the people in a different photo. So you know which year it was and where it was, and you can copy that onto the other photo. I did this when I was looking for a photo of my mother for the funeral. Then I went to the 80th birthday party of an elderly relative, very distant relative, and they had people I didn't know. And I sat down very politely while they showed me, this is our Auntie Belle. Well, that's my side of the family, nothing to do with you, of course. Ah, here's another picture of my Auntie Margaret. Oh, that's nothing your side, never mind. Ah, but I thought you'd be interested. This is, and I sat very patiently and finally said, well, you won't be interested in any of these. I don't even know who these people are. He put down a picture. I said, I know who that is. He said, who is it? I said, that's my mother. That's my mother. It's the wedding picture. I don't have a picture of my mother's wedding. It was in 1944 when she married my father. He said to me, are you sure she's not wearing a white dress? I said, no, because she lost her first husband in the war. So she wasn't a virgin. It wasn't a first wedding. It was a second wedding. So she didn't wear white. Anyway, you couldn't get white unless you had a parachute or something to get white clothes. That's my mother's picture. My mother and father at the wedding, my father in the top hat. He said, would you like it? I said, well, I like it. I'd love it. So please go back, get all your family photos and write carefully around the edge who's who, and interview your family and write up your family history. You will be amazed what satisfaction you'll get. And after everyone has passed on, or after they've got Alzheimer's and can't remember, I produced this wonderful book for my mother-in-law, and she said, where did you get all that information? And I said, I got it from you. Go and do it. Start tomorrow. Back to you, Contest Chair.
Thank you, Angela. The first speech was within time. This speech was 10 minutes, 43 seconds.
Oh, over.
Oh, so you got to tidy up a little bit. It's again, your usual style is always very engaging, and I like that very much. Okay, let me look at the judges' criteria. Originality, that one I think you're doing very well. Now the story, you have multiple story. I'm trying to think of how to put it together as one story. Because Angela, for stories, the key elements would be the plots, the setting, the challenge, and then the climax or the solution, right? Okay, so what is the plot in your story?
Save your history before it disappears.
Okay, that is the message, but the plot talked about the journey towards the solution. What happened and how did we solve the problem, right?
I never got to the second book about the neighbor. I talked all about my own family history. I could make it clearer by saying I did a second book adding photos because I've got two different books, one without photos, and then I did a second book with photos. So then I can do the photos, adding photos as the second half, write the story and then find the photos.
Okay.
Save the stories and find the photos.
Save the stories, find the photo. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure which way to go about in terms of improving, because I'm thinking of storytelling as one story, the story that is a problem and how you go about resolving the problem. That's a plot, right? Now your story is about the problem, is about people not writing the family story, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so you have a way. I think if you just go about this is a plot, how you go about succeeding in documenting your family history. Okay. And I think your first part, if you expand on that, that is already very good, about at the dinner, talking to your mother-in-law and then going to the washroom to jot down the notes and whatever. If you build on that one story alone, that could be the entire story. And then, but you have other sub-story regarding the butcher and the pots and pans and the selling, what is that, selling dresses or something, right? So that is another story. So now you got two stories or even three stories with the writing of the photographs and things like that. But if you can
And the third
align
one
them,
is finding the photo of my wedding.
Yeah. Okay, these are actually separate and distinct story, but I want you to find a way to mesh them into just one story involving different activity. But now it appears like you got three stories, which is not ideal for the competition. What you want is one story. It's a storytelling contest. You just want that one story. So within that one story, you want to build the suspense, you want to build the excitement, you want to build up the character. What is your father really like? What is your mother really like? What are the circumstances of the day? Like you say, those days people are poor, they whatever. So you want to build on the story. You don't want to have too many stories, but they are not well developed. So you want the time to develop the story, the characters, right? The setting, to let people feel and see what the times of the day were. Where were you? People are hungry and war, people are dying or whatever. So you want the feeling to come in once you develop the plot and the characters, and then you paint the picture of the setting, physical setting as well as emotional setting, society, the society and the world circumstances during the war, for example. Yeah. I think the other part, narration quality, emotional content, and then the story message. In the end, what is the moral of the story? It got to be very clear, right? If you don't write it, you lose it. But what happens if you lose it? Does it really matter? Okay, so the moral of story got to be, people have to feel it's really relevant to them. The story is one thing, but the moral is, the message is the other. And
first of all, you solve all the mysteries and you put together your life as a mosaic. It's like a jigsaw with missing pieces. If you go out and ask enough questions, you fill in all the pieces.
Yeah. That's excellent, Angela. That is really excellent. And now is how to like, in fact, how to fit it together into a what do you call that? A whole picture. No, you got that thing very clearly defined. It's really good. I like the way you describe it as a pieces of the jigsaw puzzle of your life, ferreting them out and then putting them together to know where you are, where you came from, and where the future could be, for example. Right? I felt that's really good. Finding the pieces of jigsaws in your life. Okay, I'll let Mike do the sharing now because I'm only sharing from my perspective. I may be very biased towards one angle. Mike, are you there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there. Clinging on, grim life. Okay, Angela, what I would do, I think, is what Bampeng was suggesting, is reduce the number of stories, have one story with separate segments. And your mother, effectively in real life, you did two separate books, but for this storytelling exercise, try and simplify it in the audience's mind. Don't make it too is about different things because the audience will give up trying. But if you combine it into one overall story about, and that the whole message of this is, forgot there was a trendy word that we used to. Was it living stories or whatever? But yeah, we need to capture, the experience of other people in our lives and put it on paper or record it or video it nowadays. Yeah, and that's something that we have not done very well. I know myself, I wish I had have spent a lot more time effectively interviewing my mother. Yeah, formally sit her down at the coffee table with a mug of coffee and ask her questions about what was it like in Hitler's Germany during the war. And really go through it systematically. I mean, I have many stories that she's told me about the things that happened to her, but there are so many gaps in there. And your thing about photos, is so true. I mean, I have family photos that were invented when cameras were invented, and we have no idea who they were, who they are. Yeah, so looking at them, you can't always tell, who belongs to whom. So putting recording information on photos is so important. And I think with Facebook recognition, they're already tagging people. Do that with our own, who the people were, have gone. There is no way of finding. Yeah, so it's really urgent, and more of us should do that. So I think for me, that's the main message. Yeah, go write the story of either your life, individual people's lives as a present for them, but get the information down from people who have a story to tell. And because they're of advanced age, that story is going to disappear like a flick of a light switch one day. Yeah, they won't be there tomorrow. Yeah, so treat it with urgency, do it, because it is so useful and it is so informative. Being able to go back in your own life's history, your own family history, work out what was actually going on. Because all of this information, as I said, disappears. I personally, again, in my head, have a lot of information from my mother that's never been put on paper or any other, retrievable method. Yeah, so again, I should do that myself. But so this is the message for the people in the audience. Yeah, you have people in your life, spend time getting their story on paper, on video, or just a recording for posterity. And then that is really, really good for living history. Thank you. But no, it's good. Interesting. It is interesting. And it's made me think. Back to the two of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Angela. What would you like to do next? You still got the educational speech?
Sorry. Well, the first one was the recycling, right?
That was social
second-
awareness,
Yes, the second one was writing the family history.
right?
The last one is
No, there are
artificial
four.
intelligence.
Oh, you want to do artificial intelligence?
No, I want to do the humorous speech, which is on language.
Okay, sounds good to me. Just give me a moment, yeah. Remember, I want you to pause. Don't start your speech so fast. Give yourself at least 5 seconds before you start speaking. Okay, it's 5 to 7 minutes, Angela. What is the speech title?
Give thanks. Give
Sorry?
thanks.
Give thanks.
Give thanks.
Okay. Just a moment, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, humorous speech contest. Contestant number 1, Angela Lansbury. Give thanks. Give thanks, Angela Lansbury.
My dear friends, I would like to thank you for coming to hear me, because I have an important message for you, which is how you should give thanks. Now, you might think, well, everybody gives thanks. The only problem is that in the Caribbean, tanks and thanks sound pretty much the same. And one of our friends was in the army, and he was told by his commander that somebody else had been very helpful and that he would have to go and give them tanks today, 100 tanks. And he went and he looked up in the stocks and how many tanks did they have, and eventually went back and said, we don't have 100 tanks. How can I give them 100 tanks? The man said, not tanks, thanks. Now that's a sort of real life problem you can get if you don't pronounce t and th. Pronunciation is all important. While on the subject of thanks, now I speak fluent English, as you can hear, and I thought I spoke fluent French. And when I went to France to see my older pair girl, she offered me a cup of tea. Would you like? Voulez-vous du thé? And I said, merci, which is thanks. And I waited and waited. I never got any tea. And half an hour later, she said, et tout le monde? Encore du thé? I said, I haven't had the previous tea. Je n'ai pas eu un thé. She's chatting to her rest of her family. What happened? Oh, elle a dit merci. What happened? Merci in French is thanks, short for no thanks. But s'il vous plaît, please, is short for yes, please. So somebody offers you a cup of tea and you want it, you say, oui, s'il vous plaît. But if you say merci, they'll think you don't want any and you won't get any. So that is my 2 stories about thanks. Now, of course, there are many other confusing things which can happen to you. To go back to T and TH, I had an awkward moment in Singapore. I was introduced, first of all, in Singapore, many people speak as a first language Chinese, and he, she, and it are the same word, which is roughly ta. So ta, he, she, or it will now come and speak. So the first thing somebody whose first language was Chinese said was, Angela is here to be our evaluator, and this is our president, Mr. So-and-so, and he will now speak. And so I sat there waiting for the president to speak. But what he meant was, she will speak. So everyone looked at me, and I didn't do anything, because as far as I was concerned, he was someone else. I'm a she. The next thing that happened was they said, after they'd sorted that out, they had said, she will introduce our team. I thought, my goodness, I don't know who the team is. I don't know their committee. I'm at a new club. What am I going to do? And I sat there and saying, I don't know who the team are. Team, the team of the day. We said the team was happiness. Oh, I said, the theme. Yes, the team. Oh, you have to get T and TH. Now look, ta, 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 ta. Your tongue goes behind your teeth. Say teeth, ta, 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 teeth. The, your tongue comes out. I hope I've taught you something from this speech. You have got to practice language. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Please, I beg you, practice thanks, and practice team, and practice he, she, and it. Now, other languages also have problems. Other letters create problems. The letters R and L are a big challenge for people who don't have those letters or don't know which is which. For example, flight, la 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 la, fright, fright, fright. Now you might think when you get on a plane and the pilot wishes you a pleasant flight, that's okay. Then you get on a flight to Hong Kong and the pilot wishes you a pleasant fright. Oh, you think, how can he communicate? This plane is going to go down. He won't be able to talk to the people on the ground. He'll confuse everybody. I thought it was a joke. It's not a joke. I've been on planes where they don't know the difference between flight and fright. This is really frightening. At least for me it is. Let me tell you another story about confusion in languages. I have found somebody introduced me to his job. He said, I work for the Royal Bank of Scotland. I thought, my goodness, the Royal Bank of Scotland have changed their name. End of royalty, in comes loyalty. It wasn't until 10 minutes later that he used some other letters, and I discovered it was not a change of name. His company was called the Royal Bank of Scotland, not the Loyal Bank of Scotland. Quite a difference. Now, another thing that people need to know about is the names of the company they work for. For example, Marks and Spencer. Plural Marks, son of Mark, but Spencer, singular. If you work for the company, whether it's Marks and Spencer or the Royal Bank of Scotland, you must know your own company name. Now, many people belong to a Toastmasters organization, and some of them don't know the difference between a plural and a singular. and they say, I'm going to introduce you to Toastmasters, but they mean a Toastmaster, one person. And they say, I belong to Toastmaster. Which one do you belong to? Which person? No, not a person, an organization. So you see, you have to be very careful with themes, Toastmaster, Toastmasters, thanks, thanks. You have to go and practice all the time and learn different languages. And you can go online and find out they're called false friends, words which sound the same but have different meanings in different languages. I shall now give you one last story. You might think that if you speak English to other English-speaking people in other English-speaking countries, it's very simple. No, it's not. I went in New Zealand to ask for some little buns, little donuts. And I said, I would like 5 donuts. And the man took them out. And then he said, I love your accent. Would you like sex? I thought, my God, he's only just met me and he's asking me for sex. It's a bit quick, isn't it? He said, I'm shutting my shop soon, so I thought I'd give you the sex. But all afternoon, he's shutting his shop and he's thinking about sex. Then he said, there's no charge. I'll give you, you asked for 5, but I'll give you 6. And I looked and there were 6 donuts. New Zealanders say sex when they mean 6. So be very careful and you say yes, or you say I'd like 6 or sex to somebody from another country, from New Zealand or England. You might not get the donuts you had been expecting. Finally, thongs. Thongs. What are thongs? I'm going to show you thongs. Well, I'm not going to show you what I'm wearing. I'm going to show you thongs. Wait for it. Thongs. I was in Australia and the barman said to me, you can't come in here, ma'am, wearing thongs. I thought, what? How does he know what underwear I'm wearing? To me, thongs are like that. At the back, a pair of pants. I said, I'm not wearing thongs. He said, I can see you're wearing thongs. What? He's got X-ray eyes? He said, on your feet, you are wearing thongs. I looked at what I was carrying. Thongs, I said. You call these thongs? He asked me what I called them. I said, these are flip-flops. In England, these are flip-flops. What's more, in India, I listened to an entire speech and a man talking about slippers. Now, to me in England, this is a pair of slippers. The things you slip on. They're indoor shoes. What he meant was these. In India, these are slippers that you slip on. Friends, you think you speak English, please practice tongs, thongs, slippers. Don't slip up. Finally, I should just say thank you, not thanks. Thanks. You know what I mean, don't you? Don't send thanks, send thanks. Back to you, contest chair.
Angela, you are really
Yes.
very animated, very interesting to listen to. I've got some feedback for you.
It didn't have any lights.
You know, you didn't watch my screen.
Oh.
Okay.
Ah. I don't have you on my screen. That's my problem.
Yeah, so
Oh,
you need to get your basics right in this case.
yes.
I think you did not write a script for this speech. Do you know why? You had
Why?
7 minutes to speak. You spoke for 12 minutes, 30 seconds.
Why didn't you stop me?
Well,
Because you don't get stopped.
I
I was waiting for the light and never saw any.
no, you need to plan and rehearse and practice so that even without lights, you would know when to stop.
Right.
So that's my first feedback is
Yes.
you need to
Practice
write your
length.
script and practice and time yourself in front of the mirror. Right. Now, second feedback is you disappeared from the screen when you went to pick up the slippers or whatever. That one you need to plan so that it's readily available when you need it. You should not disappear from the screen to look for the tongs or the slippers or whatever you need. Okay, so that's the second feedback. The third feedback is this is a humorous speech. That means you are scored by the number of laughter, the intensity of the laughter, not by the message itself. Whereas you focus a lot on the message, repeating about the the and the the and the whatever, that part is not the key. The moral of the story could be important, but repeating the message about pronunciation or the use of words is not the key. The key is how many laughter do people have? How intense was the laughter? Okay, so that is my feedback. I will let Mike share the rest because we are running a little bit late already. Hold on, Mike, please. I think Mike may have stepped up for his dinner because now it's 7 o'clock Singapore Indonesian time in the evening. Mike, are you there? Oh, Mike got kicked out of the room. We'll wait a while for him to come back. No, he's not here yet. Okay, we have covered social awareness, humorous speech, and humorous speech. What was the other one? Storytelling. Are you going to do the educational speech?
Yes.
Okay, I think we will not have time to do it tonight because I got somewhere I need to join another meeting. Would you like another round of practice?
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow I cannot. I have a dinner, so I will not be around at this time.
You don't have more time later today?
No, now it's 8 p.m. Singapore time, so I'll be going out for dinner. I will not be back so soon. When will you come back from your trip?
I think it's the 20th.
Yeah, we have
possibly.
time, 20th, because the last day for submission of your video is 30th. So you have time to edit your script. I need you to really write it down and do the editing. If you want, you in a while we can fix a time with Mike tomorrow. I'm not sure whether he's available. Because tomorrow I cannot, I have a dinner to attend, so I definitely will not have time for the meeting.
Should I just give the opening sentence then?
No, you can deliver your speech, but I won't have time to give you the feedback. Do you want to do that?
Yes.
I can record and then you can look at it yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
Okay, give me a moment to check out the
It's 5 to 7 and it's educational, right? Or is it longer?
I think education will be longer. Educational is 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to do
now
that?
wait, I need to click you to see your timing. That's what I hadn't done.
Yeah, you got to be very good at this, otherwise it's wasted, you know. You go over time and then you are just disqualified. What is your speech topic?
I originally had Save Lives with Clear Instructions, but it's funny because I thought I had a speech on AI.
Yeah, you did.
I think Save Lives with Clear Instructions, is that the one?
Okay,
what do you think?
No. You got to first look at the speech objective for this contest, right? The objective is to inform and inspire the audience, right? The topic must be on a formal science subject, whether natural science or social science.
Well, in that case, it's got to be on AI.
Yeah, Angela, I have a feeling you have not thoroughly analyzed the speech contest requirements. I need you to do that because you need to focus on the speech contest speech objective, and on the scoring criteria. You cannot just jump in like that, because you got one important part is a scientific accuracy. Whatever you speak about, is it scientifically correct, right? So you need to have that kind of some formal information. You cannot just speak without the benefit of research in this area.
Yes, I don't have enough scientific knowledge. I could change it and do a speech on alcohol.
You can. What you need is some authority to quote some research paper or something, so that the judges know that these are factual, these are scientifically accurate. You can talk about alcohol. I think it's a good idea. Sometimes at some point, people say wine is good for you. Next day, wine is not good for you, and then wine is good for you again, for example.
Right.
Then
I should talk about alcohol.
Yeah, you can talk about that. You can talk. You need some research basically, and it's very easy.
Yes.
You just Google search. There are tons of material.
I know all about it. I've just written a book on it, and I've been to many tastings. My husband is a wine educator.
Okay, you want to do it now? What title would you give it?
Watch the alcohol content.
Watch the alcohol content, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. This is 8 to 10 minutes. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Educational speech contest. Contestant from Singapore, Angela Lansbury. Watch the alcohol content. Watch the alcohol content. Angela Lansbury.
Friends, I only late in life discovered the alcohol content is written on the back of bottles of wine and beer and so-called low alcohol or no alcohol drinks, which are not the same thing. As you travel around the world or travel around a supermarket, in almost every country, you find drinks and foods containing alcohol. Now, there are some places where there is no alcohol, and you must be very careful not to accidentally import alcohol. For example, if you go to Saudi Arabia, they are very strict. And if you are selling low alcohol drinks and they've got even 1% alcohol, it's not allowed. And if you were to take a low alcohol drink in your suitcase into that country, you would be in trouble. When I was a student, I didn't know about alcohol content. To me, there was alcohol and not alcohol. If something was either alcoholic or it wasn't. And if it was alcoholic, it was something that adults drank. And if it was non-alcoholic, it was something you drank as a child. And as soon as I got to 16 and 18, I was offered alcohol. I went to university, and the professors and the people in charge used to run sherry parties. And what did they serve? Sherry, sometimes with peanuts, and sometimes with nothing at all. And I would have a drink, and then another drink, and then another drink. And then the world would be going around and around. My eyes would be shutting. I might be giggling a bit. I might even be shouting a bit. And then I would be forced to sit down. And then I might fall asleep, or I might wet myself. Oh dear, oh dear. And I didn't know what the problem was. It was years before I discovered that there are 4 or 5 different categories of alcoholic levels. The lowest alcohol is low alcohol. Now, why would anyone have low alcohol and not no alcohol? Well, you might have low alcohol because you're with another group of people and they're all drinking and you like the taste of it. Now, the manufacturers are now experimenting and trying to produce no alcohol drinks, which have all the factors that people like in alcohol, but they can't drink alcohol because they're driving or they're taking medication and it prevents them taking alcohol. And you've got to be very careful because legally, in many countries, if you give somebody alcohol and get them drunk and they're not aware of what you've given them, you are held responsible, whether you're giving them drugs or alcohol or anything else dangerous, you are held responsible for handing it over to them. In fact, if you go out to some countries, for example, if you go to America, you will even find that caffeine is not allowed. And in Mormon states like Utah, I remember being surprised when I asked for a cup of coffee and the girl would bring, the waitress, the server would bring me a tray of coffee and she would give me the coffee cup, but I had to pour the cup of caffeinated coffee because she was not allowed to touch the drink or to give it to me. Now, similar things apply to caffeine and to alcohol, which are both drugs which can make you feel more alert, more angry, or more relaxed, or more sleepy. When you look at your alcohol, there's another secret. It's a secret to those who don't know the full facts, and it's a secret to a lot of teenagers and students. there are regulations in the EU, the European Union, and in many other countries about how much alcohol you're allowed to put in a drink and call it wine or spirits, and also how much tax you have to pay. By and large, they put tax on higher alcohol levels in spirits because they're more dangerous and they don't want you drinking them. Now, you may have heard of adding water to whiskey. That's because neat alcohol is so strong, it burns your throat and it makes you very ill. It's quite dangerous if you have too much of it, and particularly if you have it with some other drugs like pills, so that the combined effect will be plus. And if you mix your drinks, you might think you've had a wine, which is only, say, 15%, and then you have a spirit, which is something else. Now, look at the percentage. Now, I always used to like drinks like Prosecco, and I look at my Prosecco, and it says 11%. Now, that is low. If I look at two bottles of drink, and one is 11, one is 13, and one is 15, it doesn't sound like a big difference, but it makes quite a big difference to how inebriated you get. Now, another factor is the amount of drink in your glass. You can buy glasses which have marked on them the different levels. And at one time, it was expected that a restaurant would have glasses with the levels marked on them, so you could see you weren't being shortchanged and given a small glass if you were paying for a big one, but equally, if you'd asked for a small one, they didn't give you a big one and charge you for a big one and make you more drunk than you expected to be if you were, for example, driving. Now, what happens in the manufacture of drinks? Alcohol can occur, it can be made from grapes, in which case it's called wine, or it can be made from other things such as potato, and then it might be called vodka, or it might be made from malt. You might have beer, or you might have bourbon. So you want to look at the ingredients, and you want to look at the alcoholic content, and you want to research and find out about it. It's very easy to find out. You can either go to Wikipedia and check on alcoholic contents of different drinks. You can look on the back of the bottle where it's legally required to be noted. You can look at the manufacturer's websites, and you can go and be trained by WSET, which is the Wine and Spirits Education Trust, and they run courses. I did the course, the level 1 course, which is a booklet of about 20 hours of lessons. It's self-administered. You get to the end, you do a tick box of answers. If you get them all right, you can move on. If you got them wrong, you go back and you do it again until you've learnt more. After you've done your booklet, you go for a day to the WSET, and you have a day tasting wines, learning about wines, marking them down, checking off what you know. And at the end of the day, you have a tick box questionnaire, which is marked automatically, not by your teacher, who might be a bit prejudiced and want to mark everybody as passed, but by independently outside, and usually by the same day or the next day, you get told whether you've passed. My husband's done a great deal more. He's now gone to level 4, and he's become a wine educator, and he's written a book called I'll Drink, all about island wines. And you can, all over the world, in Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, America, and elsewhere, you can do these WSET courses, and you can buy their books and study and go to wine tastings and tutor tastings. And the important thing is that you don't drink more than you want to drink and get unexpectedly tiddly. So what have I drunk? I have drunk water, so I am completely sober, I promise. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Angela. 10 minutes, 20 seconds. Very good time. Were you watching the color on my backdrop?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's what we should continue to do.
Yes.
I have time to give you a lot of feedback, except that your screen was frozen for some reason. So if you watch the video later, you will see that your screen is frozen. So don't be shocked. Okay, now I want to focus again very quickly because I'm out of time already. Yeah. Okay. Now, the speech objective is to inform and to inspire the audience, right? So you got to think of the information is there. Are the audience inspired to do anything or refrain from doing anything? I think that part you need to consider, right? And you got to think also, the judges are looking for focus and clarity. So what is the clear single educational goal when you're speaking? Okay, you need to do that. And then you need to have props or visual aids. Okay, I've sent you, each time I send you the WhatsApp message, all these are in the WhatsApp message that I sent to you. Are you aware? Yes or no?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, I'll forward to you one more time because I sent this to you repeatedly, but sometimes I feel you have not benefited from it. I'll send you right now. Can you open?
This is to my UK phone.
No, I sent to both.
Right. So it comes in under Gaya Banpeng.
Yeah.
Last message was please log in.
Yeah, you scroll down. There's a lot more. You scroll down.
You mean scroll up?
Scroll down. There are many things below that line that says my
read
friends.
more.
Yeah, you got to read more.
Yes, I found it. Yes.
Okay, you must really read, you must really understand, and you must focus on those stuff that's in there. Those are absolutely important. I felt you have not focused sufficiently in those areas.
Yes.
Okay. You need to do that, and then you can contact Mike because I got to sign off now. I will upload the video. You can have a look at it, and then you compare your presentation to the scoring. If you were a judge, how would you score the speech? Then from there, you learn how to improve on that. Okay. Then when you come back, you drop me a note to say when you come back from your trip, right? Drop me a note, then I'll fix a time for you.
Can you remember when we come back, Trevor? My husband's just looking it up, and I'm going to.
No, you just drop me a note. It's not urgent. I must know now. You drop me a WhatsApp note, then I will work at it for you. Will that be okay?
Yes, but if I don't do it now, I'll have forgotten by the time I've gone away to Albania and trekked up mountains.
Okay. Anyway, I got to sign off now. I'll chat with you
Okay, thank
later.
You. Early in the day, Trevor?
Oh, yeah, 1:25 in the morning.
24th of June.
Okay, I've noted down 24th June.
24th of June.
Then maybe either that or later on 24th or maybe 25th perhaps. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'll I'll stop the recording now.